So we're back. I told you we were going to follow up a little bit more with, some issues with mental health, some reasons why people don't focus on their mental health, what's going on about, with that. I was glad to have somebody comment on the comments on my last video saying that a lot of times finding the right therapist is hard. Okay. And I get that 110%. I know that that's a big deal because what happens is that you go to a therapist, you aren't happy with the therapist, so therefore you don't go back. It wasn't a comfortable situation for you. And I will say, as somebody who is working to get my licensure and having clients in my office and working with them, one of the most important things for me is to make sure my client is genuinely comfortable with who I am and being able to share their stories, their thoughts, their feelings. Because if they're not, it's not beneficial for them or I. And guys, that is okay if you go to a therapist and you don't find that therapist to be the one. All you do is say, hey, I'm going to find somebody else. Thank you for your time. I just need to, see if I can find somebody that's better suited for me. Or you don't even have to give them that much escalation. You can just find a new therapist and then call the therapist and tell them that you need to cancel your future appointments. I remember for the longest time when I was little, sorry, this is gonna be loud. I went to therapy and I can remember not liking a few. And then I can remember the fear, kind of, not fear, I guess it'd be anxiety that I had when I was old enough and looking for my own therapist. Like, am I going to do it? Am I going to be able to find somebody that I can talk to? And I did. Now, I got very lucky with my first therapist, and that was just a hit, and there we go. And then with that being said, I have clients that are, come to me and I'm their third therapist. And they're like, I need somebody to listen and understand and give me options and talk to me and, be there for me and not focus on the details, but to work through the details. One of my favorites is that I have a younger client, and this client had been going to a therapist for, I think, 2 years now. Okay. And I see another child of the grandparent or another grandchild of the grandparent. And so we were talking one day and she's like, hey, I'm gonna send this person, I'm gonna call and see if I can't get these people in for services. Do you guys have anybody available? I said, definitely, just call up here and then we'll see where we get matched at or aligned and what happens. And she's like, okay. Well, I get that kid. I was not intentionally setting out to get the kid, but what we do is when we get referrals, somebody looks over them and just kind of disperses them where they would best fit. Okay. So I get the kid and I call the grandparent and I'm like, hey, do you mind if I'm the one working with this child? And they're like, I really wanted it to be you because, again, I've seen other grandchild with the same kind of issues, and she has flourished and nourished, and she's a whole different person now. So, when I get the kid in the room and we're doing this intake, this kid was like, I didn't like my last therapist, so I didn't share anything. I'm like, well, that's so sad. I was like, did you ever tell your grandparent? And they're like, no, because I just knew I had to be in therapy. I'm like, okay. I said, well, this is what I do. I really like to check in with you every session, and I'll do it really hard for the first like 3 sessions. And if there's anything that I feel is not correct or is not meshing or is not working, I will then go ahead and ask you, and I will ask your grandparent, and we'll see if something needs to change. Right. And this child was just like, because I really care about you and I really care that you're doing okay and that you're doing better and that you're working through your issues. Well, that right there, I think set the tone for this client that was just completely different from anything else they had had before. We're now 4 weeks in, and this client has showed so much emotion and feeling, and just really they've opened up and they have shared so much. Okay. And that's a good thing. So I check in with grandmother last visit and I'm like, hey, how do you think things are? She's like, So much better. So much better. She said, I used to have to fight to get them in the car, to get them to go to therapy, and I don't now. That's a plus. And then they are acting different at home, which is also another plus, you know? Now, am I saying that's going to happen every time? No. I've had clients that I've had to move elsewhere, that I've had to be like, I'm going to have to get you a different therapist because I can tell that there's no connection, and that does me no good with this person. It does them no good more than anything. It's very unethical to work with somebody that you know is not thriving or doing well in their therapy. So never hesitate to be your own advocate and to try 15 therapists if you need. Um, I kind of talked about this a few months ago where I said, there's help out there. You just have to find it. And it's the truth, you know. There's some people that are struggling with their mental health that really need help, but will not reach out because they've had such a history of bad situations or bad feelings or whatever it may be. And I hate that for them. And that's what I want to change, you know? And even if you're not comfortable with your therapist, they will 99% of the time be happy to help you get a referral to somewhere else to meet your needs, because that is our job, is to help you. And if that means handing you off to somebody else, that is their job. So please, if you're in a predicament where you're like, I really don't want to continue to go to my therapist, nothing's happening, reach out to a different therapist, reach out and find another resource. Okay. If you're somebody that's sitting there, or you have, ever went to therapy and you're like, that was a horrible experience, don't let that past define what you're going to see. Because, guys, I'm telling you, I would say that therapy's changed a lot from when I went to therapy and to where I therapy now. When I went to therapy, there was a whole lot of my therapist looking down doing this, and never was there a eye contact, and there it was very a cold, very much so a cold situation to me. So if you're one of those people that's had that cold experience, try another one, and then try another one if that doesn't work. If you have an issue like you don't feel comfortable, if you're a female and you don't feel comfortable talking to a male, most time agencies will have multiple male female options. Okay. And if you will voice those feelings in the beginning, we can match you to the right people so that we're not putting you in a situation that's going to make you uncomfortable. Okay. And I know that it's hard. Reaching out for help is hard. Reaching out for help when you've had previous experience that was not good is really hard. But I'm asking that you just give yourself a chance to work through what you want to work through, and just reach out to somebody different. Okay. Um, with that being said, the next thing with, the barriers between people getting help with their mental health is the cost. And I hate to say this, the cost is unruly. The problem with me is that when I open an office, that I am going to have like a designated day that's basically a free walk-in day, because I think that, like, there shouldn't be a charge for mental health. I know that I need to get paid, so that's why I can't do everything 100% pro bono. But I do know that I want to dedicate that walk in option, or that availability, to give people assistance at no cost, because there are truly those people that can't even afford the sliding scale. Maybe they make more money what they more than they can with having state insurance, or maybe their insurance doesn't really pay for mental health, because that's a thing too. Um, or maybe they do pay for mental health, but in your area you don't have an approved provider. That's horrible. It's horrible, that not all insurance will cover anybody that you want to go to. You have to go to certain people. It's horrible that we have to charge to offer mental health services to make a living. Like, if I could find something, a way to make money and never charge a client, that would be me. But we can't do that, because that's also unfair to other therapists who are trying to make a living that aren't offering free services 24/7. So there's a whole circle of things. But my main thing with this is that if you're having insurance issues or payment issues or concerns, just know that they're generally in every state is funding or a location that is state ran that will accept you and do services for you. Okay. Now, unfortunately, that's where I run into people telling me they've had a horrible experience because most of the time, those locations are ones that are do like therapy, substance abuse. They do a whole bunch of things under one umbrella, and then they have a psychiatrist on board, and you kind of have to run the whole circle and be dedicated to just them. And they're not easy to change therapists because they're so overbooked. Maybe one day we'll have more wonderful therapists out there and that won't be an issue and we won't have to be worried about overbooking. But right now there is that issue somewhere. But I do want to let you know that there are those locations that are available that will offer it at no cost. I have one pro bono client right now. All that happened with that, how I got them is that the person called and they talked to, who they needed to talk to. And that was sent to the case or our case manager, which is who sends it out. And then I was asked if I would volunteer my time. And of course I said yes. Um, because I would never want to turn away a client that's reaching out for that help. Most agencies will allow pro bono as long as they have a therapist that will do that. So if you're struggling with any kind of pay or insurance concerns, know that there are options out there. Okay. A lot of cities have case management available through the city itself. And the city will help you get into contact with places that will take you. But if nothing else, most agencies also have what's called a sliding scale. I know in Oklahoma to where they base it on your pay so that it's not undoable, like you're still going to be able to manage. Now I think that there should be more funding out there for mental health. I feel like there could be a lot more that could be done. Um, and I feel solely that I hate to say this, COVID helped a lot with knowing what's capable and what's available to help with mental health because it's been such a strain. Mental health's been such a strain on everybody in the last 2, 3 years. Good gosh. Um, and the states make it easier to get assistance. Now, unfortunately, we're seeing some of that pullback where there's not the funding that there was, but it allowed agencies and providers and clients to know that there's a lot of help out there. Now, again, unfortunately, in a lot of places, there's a long wait list. Um, I actually have a client that's like, "Well, you're the only one that I could. This place was the only one that I could get to, because everybody else was 6 months out." And I'm like, "What the hell? 6 months? They want you to deal with it for 6 months? Like, if nothing else, let me put you on a list because I probably am going to discharge somebody in the next, 2 to 3 weeks because that's what we do. We help, we love you, we take care of you, we guide you, we support you, we listen, and we have the same goal of getting you out of there. So why not put your name down on a wait list? And I'm sure that I'm going to be able to fix something in my schedule to put you in there. And that's one thing I really do like about the agency I'm with. That every call for help is accountable, and we try to make sure we do it as fast as possible. We don't have weeks of wait for you to even hear from somebody. If I get a referral on my desk, I literally am contacting that referral same day if able. Now, if it's after 4 o'clock, it's going to be the next morning, but I contact them within 24 hours. I get me on the phone so that I can say, "Hey, how are you? And what services are we looking for? And where do we need to help?" Because I want to gauge what's going on. Because if they're in a mental health crisis, then I need to get them referred to somebody that can help them immediately if I can't. Or maybe I need to give them options like if where to go for inpatient care. So I always try to get back with them as soon as possible. Um, I know that I am not everybody. I know that that's not everywhere. I know not every state has the same issue or guidelines or what they can do. But I'm telling you that, and I have told you in almost every video that I have put out, if you are somebody that's looking for help and you're hitting a wall, reach out to me. I will be glad to step over whatever bridges I need to help you, because I truly believe that there's a lot of people out there with mental health concerns or issues that need that person, and I would love to be able to help anybody that needs. Um Oh, I'll call your governor if I need to. I don't care. I'll figure you out. I'll get something going in place for you if I need to. I'm just very serious about the mental health world and people taking care of themselves. Because you know what? The reason that sometimes we see escalations of behaviors or what's happening is because people go so long not getting the assistance they need, and then they are just overloaded. Okay, and I don't want to see that happen with anybody. If there's a chance that I can help or talk to you or see what we can do, if I can't do it, my CEO can probably tell me what to do. Like, there's seriously, I will help any way that I can. um so we talked about, the barriers, some of these barriers, one being the actual fact that it's hard to find a good therapist sometimes, and it becomes discouraging to look for another because of past or trauma or whatever it came with. And then we talked about the cost, right? Well, the last thing that we're going to talk about on this is going to be your friends and family's opinions or thoughts and how they affect how you reach out or seek services. And I didn't think that was a big thing. I thought, if you need help, you'll need help and you'll just get it, right? But I learned, like I said on my last video when I got with William, not everybody knows when they're even in a mental health crisis or what mental health issues are, and they don't believe in what happens, right? Well, that might be your family and or your friends or your co-support, whatever it is. And if that is what's going on, it makes it very discouraging for us to reach out and do what we need to do for us, right? It's harder for us to become okay with getting some help through for our mental health issues if our family and the people that are surrounding us do not have the same beliefs. So that again is a very big concern. But if that's you and you're sitting there and you have no support, call me, text me, email me, whatever we need to do. I will be your biggest supporter and we will get you into the place you need to be. Again, not everybody has to agree with what you do, but everybody needs to support what you're doing, or they don't need to know what you're doing at all. I'll be honest. I have people that come to therapy that their spouses don't even know that they were coming to therapy, and that's okay. That's okay. Now, I do have somebody that's, I've had, and we finally broke down because her kids didn't know that she was in therapy and she was really embarrassed by it. And I looked at her one day and I was just like, why are you embarrassed that you're trying to be the best mom and wife and supporter that you can be? Why is that embarrassing? Well, because I don't want people to laugh at me. If they laugh at you, they don't know you and they don't love you and you don't need them. Kick them to the freaking curb. I know it's not that easy, but my point is that she was saying that she wasn't telling them because she didn't know what they think without even giving them benefit of the doubt that, hey, they might really be fascinated or happy or proud of her. So, if that's your issue, is your support system and your feelings on what are they going to say, it's okay. And again, I'm not being funny when I say this, but if you are truly having something going on with mental health, if you're feeling that you're a bit depressed, if you're feeling down, if most of your days are bad and not good, do what you need to do for you. Everything else will follow suit, And if somebody's trying to hold you back from getting the help for your mental health, you honestly need to make boundaries with that person and say, no, we're going to disconnect right here. We're not going to talk about my therapy. You don't have the right to say that, and I don't want to hear it. And if they continue to say it, then you have the right to break that relationship, that bond, whatever it may be. But as long as I feel that people see that you're serious about it, normally they tend to back down when they see the positive change in you. Okay. They normally tend to have a different thought process when you're working something that is working for you and you're starting to smile, be less grumpy, be happier, and whatever it could be. So don't let that hold you back. So those are just three things I really wanted to talk about when we talk about the barriers with mental health and what's going on. I will tell you now, next week's going to look the next this week coming up will look about normal. I'll have 2 videos out. The next week it might be a little spotty on when, but I am going to try to get 2 videos out. I'm going to be taking a little vacation. So I will be away from the office here, but I will take you to our beautiful scenery once we get there. So I hope you guys have had a great Easter because it is Easter. Happy Easter to all of you that, celebrate. And I hope you guys have enjoyed all the day just doing what you want to do with friends or family or by yourself. I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you have any comments, please put them down below. Again, this video was thrived and derived from the person's comment from the last video. That's what I want to do. I want to engage with you guys, and I thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate you guys watching so much. Again, happy Easter, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.